All right, everyone, stand for the
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Charlie Caldwell. Here. Becky Brown.
Here.
Gary Jackson.
Here.
Justin Kitchell.
Here.
Peter Stevens.
Here.
And myself, Tim Bennett. I've had a chance to look at the minutes from the March 9th meeting. Any additions or corrections or a motion to approve it as is?
I make a motion we approve the minutes from March 9th as is.
I'll second it.
Dustin made a motion, Jerry second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passed. Yes, here first.
We have Conrad Gurtis. I had him on the agenda under old business. That's a request for US 50 sewer extension and annexation. We can kind of do that one first out of respect for time if you'd like.
Okay.
So Conrad's approached me about a desire to have sanitary sewer extended out to their property. I had mentioned this to you all at a couple council meetings back. I had just a rough estimate. Share this. So it's looking at about 1,200 linear feet of, I would assume we would do 8-inch sanitary sewer main, and it would be tied into the kind of where Twin Oaks, what it terminates at. So we have to go from Twin Oaks, run a little bit farther to get to Bank Street, and then kind of just run parallel up US 50. And just looking at kind of a big range of kind of, I've got a low estimate side here, and a high estimate side here. So construction ranging somewhere between 100 and 200,000. I've got, similar for surveying, kind of engineering. There is some IDEM permit requirements, and with this kind of high of a price, we are looking at kind of a bid of project. And then I got just some additional contingencies. So, anywhere from I'm thinking $150,000 to $250,000, we could potentially extend sewer out and serve that area. Conrad's mentioned an openness to splitting the property, making it more developable, and it's open to annexation. Unfortunately, if it was just one service connection, we probably would never see a return on our investment. If there was a couple of them, we might see a long-term return, but I think it does open up the opportunity for, if there's a couple commercial users or customers out there, then we would certainly, we could see a lot quicker return, and then with annexation, we would get property tax dollars as well. So I do think it's something that's worth considering. It does kind of get us closer to that area that the town's looked at in the past at developing. So that's kind of where I'm leaving it. If we want to pursue this, I would, if we want
some kind of grants, whatever to pursue or what possible.
we can look, but
Yeah.
I know Conrad's on a relatively quick timeline. I think maybe within the next 12 months or so, he'd like to kind of get things going. So if we wanted to set a budget, I can certainly kind of put this project in motion. I would hinge it on Conrad actually formalizing that annexation, paperwork and that sort of thing. All right, I don't know if there's anything else you want to add to that.
I give you just a little background, when you put the new plan in, what was it, about 5 years ago or so?
The new plant, the sewer plant,
Yeah.
is like 20 years ago.
The one that's behind me, that wasn't that long ago when you upgraded it. And I was on the Main Street board at that time, and Phil and I talked before you on, about doing it at that time, and the city, was interested in extending the sewer out that way. But we had a problem, and the fact that I'm on Hoosier Hills and you're on Aurora, and he said that would never work because they didn't have a building situation. So then a couple of years later, he came back to me and said, "No, we worked that out with Hoosier Hill. Now we can get you sewer." I said, "Well, I don't need it. I got a good system for the time." But he said, "Well, what if we annexed it and gave you sewer?" And I said, "I'd talk about something like that usually, yeah." The only thing that scared me about annexation is that I've got 12 acres there that could be developed, or somebody could buy it for horses or chickens or something. If you don't really have in your town, you'd have to make some kind of a arrangement to do that, because you're looking at acres, not a city lot, you know. And so anyway, we've been kicking this around, and he asked me here a while back about the possibility of annexation, so you can move out that way. And I thought it would be good maybe for both of us. I'm getting to the age where I've got to downsize pretty soon. I don't want to leave her a big mess that I've got out there with all these parts and cars. And I thought if the city would develop that area or help us find a commercial, it'd be a good, maybe a mall strip or something where they can have offices for real estate or insurance or something. Every time I turn around, everything moving out of Dillsboro. When I was on the committee here, they wanted to keep making the town beautiful, so people would stay. And I said, "That ain't gonna work." I said, "People ain't gonna stay. They ain't got jobs. We need a big box store, a fast food restaurant. We need some competition here and get some businesses in here." And they didn't pursue that. They just kept pursuing more cars and more, make the city pretty. And there's so many places now are rental property, you know, that they didn't want any more of those. So I thought maybe a realtor could work with me or work with you or something. We could maybe find somebody that would be commercially, and you get more back for your money on your sewer. Yeah. In the meantime, if that doesn't happen, then I have talked to Brett Fairman about splitting it, 5 acres or 6 acres on each lot, cut it in half, and I'd stay on one half of it. That would be downsizing for me, and sell the other half. That would give us at least 2 customers. And until I did that, I would pay for both of them if we bought the sewer out there. So I'm not against the annexation if I can get sewer. If I can't get sewer, then there's no benefit for me, because my taxes would be a little higher and stuff. And I would see the benefit, but I see the benefit for you if you annex, you know. So,
I think it could be a good project for the redevelopment commission. It's a good use of TIF bonds. I mean, typically, you know, they can take a bond out on future tax dollars. If there is a commercial interest party, you know, they can take a long-term loan and use the, you know, incremental increases in taxes to pay for that. So that's, you know, it is typically done. But it would be having to find that commercial end user, I think, for that to work.
I've got 800 foot of frontage here, and another benefit for Dillsboro would be old Route 50, goes out and connects to the new Route 50 right in front of my old store I got there. That used to be Black's bulk plant, Standard Oil bulk plant. And that would give the city another entrance or exit out of here without having to go east. I have to go east every time I want to go west. I never figured that out. I cross 2 lanes of traffic and more dangerous than getting killed that way than I was before. But anyway, it would open up that possibility. I have 2 entrances there. It's already grandfathered in, so that could be put to use in way or other. So I just thought we ought to discuss it and see if there's any interest in going any further before I market it by just splitting it. Now, I was going to contract myself Casey's because they're building everywhere, you know. That'd make an excellent truck stop, you know, and that would bring in a lot of business for you and stuff like that. But Also, if somebody had a garden store back again, we don't have hardware anymore, somebody could take that big one, turn it into a garden store. And then you tear the house down and just go up there with a row of, small office buildings or something with plenty of parking on the frontage for the highway. You got a lot of exposure there. And it ought to be put to some use for both of us, rather than just a residence. But, and I would have the grass to cut. So that's where I'll leave it. Whatever you got any questions or anything I can tell you about it, or I'm glad to do that. I talked to Brett Fairman today a little bit about it and told him what we were thinking, and I wanted me to come to the meeting. He couldn't come because of the Boy Scouts and that. But he thought that was an awful high estimate. He said compared to what SEI put in and everybody else.
Well, they're not, they're doing the low pressure mains. So those are cheaper to build up front, but they're more expensive to operate because you put those pipes like this in the ground, with these gravity mains, you gotta be real.
Well, I'd like to get away from the pressure pump because you're all downhill.
Right,
and you can grab it flow, yeah.
It looks like we could put a nice gravity system in there, it'd be cheap to maintain, we put it in, we pretty well hopefully forget about it for 50 years.
I can get my backwater and dig it right down the highway.
I know.
That seems like a real high expense to me, but, I don't know what kind of permits you have to get with the state, I don't know.
Once you get engineers involved,
Yeah,
they like that.
they're gonna be expensive.
Municipal contracts too, don't always.
So I won't have your meeting any longer, we'll get going, I just come down tonight to answer any questions you have and see if we want to pursue it or not, so I know what I'm gonna do, what I can do. And, as I say, I need to be thinking within a year. I mean, I'll last that long, not so I'm fine, but, I'm out there every day, I'll turn 91 this month. And,
I give you my.
she, he gives me vitamins and keep me fed good, I guess, and I'm doing all right. And I'm out there every day working, so I guess I keep me going pretty good. But, I have no issues that I know of. Yeah. And, so I'm not on a pressing time schedule with something like that. It's just that I don't know, I just think we ought to start planning, and I should start planning how to get rid of stuff. Maybe I'll have an auction or something, I don't know. So I'll take you and then you tell me and I'll go from there.
Thanks for giving us this information. We'll discuss it here. Get back with you sometime.
Thanks for coming in.
Okay, thanks guys.
Clerk treasurer's report, I guess.
Me?
You're clerk
I feel like I'm
treasurer.
sitting down in the hole, I got this chair over here. Okay, fund balances as of March 31st, 2026, the general had $137,853.30. The water operating fund had $184,390.77. The sewer operating fund was $320,794.99. I said to let you know, I think it was asked 2 meetings ago, how much the interest was that we would have got. The one that that 12-month CD that came in due in March, we got interest of $20,144.12. So we did pretty good, and that was a 12-month CD. And I did reinvest two 500,000 CDs for 6 months at 3.61%. So when I was at the ILMCT Institute and Academy in March, Susie Bass and Janet Alexander, which you guys seen out Janet last Friday, from Local Government Services stressed the clerk treasurers to show the council the agenda of the Institute and Academy. Because council don't realize what kind of training we have to go through. I mean, it's morning to evening. But they stress this, and they stress clerk treasurers should go to any training that there's available, because this is a benefit to them. And but they did stress this, so I'm following through. So, anyway, so that's all I've got.
Fire department, Jason, not here. Department, Josh.
Don't really have much, been trying to work with, some of the homecoming committees, you know, things have changed hands a little bit, so my phone's, going off with questions from them, so. Just trying to gear up for that, make sure everything goes as smooth as possible. I'm sure you'll probably get phone calls, I know you probably already have, so. That's all I got.
Charlie, EMS.
I'll just start off, usually got numbers printed out for last month for all our runs. We had 42 last month, and again, those would have been runs that Dillsboro EMS would have covered, that Responder 5 had covered. And then, as some of you may have seen on Facebook, our new 5101 car has gone in service. Our chief, Dave Phelps, is operating that vehicle, and Monday through Friday, 8 to 4, he will be available for any second out calls. So we don't have to rely on Morris Hill or Lawrenceburg or Ripley County if any second out calls come out, if our first squad is out. And then that's what I got for you this month. And if I may be excused, I have an EMT waiting for me on station. Sure. So I had to be so.
Thanks,
That's
we
fine.
appreciate
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yes, any questions? All
All
right. Appreciate it.
Beautification, Charlie.
I don't have much, something I just jotted down. Becky had mentioned, I think last year about the town possibly buying a Christmas tree. So Derek, I'm gonna get with you and see if there's not some kind of grant that beautification could go to help with that maybe.
Yeah, we're good.
Other than that, I have nothing.
Report, Tom.
Not a whole lot. We're going to meet tomorrow night, is that?
Yep.
And we're gonna decide on the color for the pickleball courts. So if you have any input, I'm not sure what the choices are. If you have any input, let us know before then.
I'll bring it up.
It's, and that project will begin this spring sometime, so, yeah.
Thank you. Tammy.
All right, so the community Easter egg hunt was a huge success. We had around 250 kids total. The biggest age group, to my surprise, was 0 to 3. It was great. We had a great time, and I appreciate the park board for letting us have it there. Right now, we're currently working on getting things ready for Dillsboro and Bloom, which is May 9th. Right now, we have 15 vendors they have already paid for a space, not including the ladies from Farmers Retreat to do the bake sale and the Dillsboro Elementary PTO Garden Club. Right now, Main Street, the quarterly reporting is due by April 15th, so I'll be working on that tomorrow and the next day. Our president of our Main Street Board, Leslie, she's here. She's going to talk about our accreditation visit. We got some feedback from Okra, and she's going to talk to you guys about our 2026 sponsorship program. So if anybody have any questions on Easter egg hunt or Dillsboro and Bloom?
I'm good.
Okay, thanks.
And if I can also, I may end up with some information about the library, so. But anyway, we had a great accreditation visit, and Dillsboro Main Street did receive accreditation at the, what they call the IMES level. I can't tell you what it stands for. Indiana, anyway, it's kind of a mid-range.
Indiana accredited
Main Street. So we are there are some different other levels, but we achieved the goal that we wanted to get. We also got some feedback on future planning, and part of I think Dillsboro Main Street, we were under the community partnership, and switching to Main Street, they have very rigid organizational process that they call the 4 pillars. That we have tried to follow some of that, but it's not, we haven't been able to have, for instance, a separate committee very easily with a lot of input for economic development. We've just had some aging members. We've had some different changes with the group, in fact, of the board. only 2 of us have been there, really more than a year. So we're starting fresh and trying to work on, and that was the weakest part for us was volunteer support and gaining more people to be involved with Dillsboro Main Street. And part of that benefit is they suggest 4 different committees: economic development, organization, promotions, and design. And for those organizations to meet individually, designed to meet separately and cover whatever they're going to be doing to help economic or help with the projects, then one person can report at the board level. And we've just not had enough people to get there. So that's a goal for us, is to increase our volunteer roles so that we have more separate people who are helping build that capacity. I also serve I'm on an ex officio board member at Aurora Main Street, so I do also get to see some insight with that, and we're working on training and just finding ways to find more support. We do have, economic development does have, once again, our sponsorship program. So we are looking for people who just might be willing to be supporters, or businesses who might be willing to be supporters, and that gives us a little bit of revenue on top of other things that we have. So we are very appreciative that the town, helps provide us with Tammy as our executive director. She's on a part-time basis, and we've been making that work, but we do still need to have help from Dillsboro Main Street for that. And they did suggest that perhaps as we move along, we create a memorandum of understanding between Dillsboro Main Street and the city of Dillsboro to clarify what your expectations, what do you want from us if there's things that aren't being met, and what can we rely on from Dillsboro, the city of Dillsboro, and then working as more as a partnership. A good example is the facade committee. I think maybe Steve, if we would have funds for those, we do have, as was mentioned earlier, we have a lot of rental properties, and that could be an element where we look at maybe specifying some facade, creating a facade grant for specifying for people who have rentals, so that maybe we can encourage them to, follow whatever our requirements are in building to increase economic development, historical elements of Dillsboro, things like that. That would also allow them to have rentals, but keep that heritage or that historical look to some of our things that are under historical downtown. And our goal, of course, is to be able to get a grant. So we are also pursuing and looking at things that might allow us to help with the 3-story or other things that we could do. We've talked about having some kind of business, not so much like a wine walk, but a program that would allow, promote people to come and visit the various businesses through a certain time period and be able to be entered into a drawing or prizes. So we're just looking at different ways that we can support our community and find ways to bring back economic development, back to Dillsboro and help in the way that we can. So, did I cover everything, Tammy?
Yes, speaking of economic development, I sent everyone an email about this Saturday at 11 a.m. Tap Room Salon's grand opening. I'd encourage one or some of you to show up. Dillsboro Main Street's gonna have a booth. Yeah, I got some scissors, the ribbon, balloons, cookies, all the things, so.
That's awesome.
Be a nice day. Yeah.
And she, Tammy, I forgot to mention, did send you our accreditation format, so if you have questions about that, you can see the scoring and you can see how we got that. But we're so excited to welcome the new business into downtown Dillsboro and to keep that going. So anyway, I wear the library hat also. I am the director of the Aurora Public Library District, which also includes Dillsboro, which is under a slight renovation right now. You haven't noticed. We are almost done. We are looking at a ribbon cutting probably in June. I have a construction meeting tomorrow that will define that more so. And our goal is to do a soft opening earlier and then a later ribbon cutting. The new renovation is going to have reservable meeting spaces. It's going to have reservable study rooms. There'll be an outside deck. There will be, of course, a bookmobile garage and a bookmobile coming. That's our next phase. We also will have We have an expanded children's area, the history room that I know our heritage group has worked on, will be coming back. We purchased new display cabinets for them. We also have taken all of the composites that were in the basement and we've scanned all those professionally, and we're working with a company called Beacon Creative Wall of Fame. They usually do sports kiosks, but we're doing a history kiosk, which will be a touch screen that people will be able to go in and not just see the composites, but also other memorabilia that we have. And it's not just available on the kiosk in the history room, but it will be available on a website. Anybody will be able to go into it and pull up those images. We also have a original print from William Zimmerman, who was an artist who lived around here. We've had those images digitally scanned and also purchased a new display cabinet for it. But we will be creating a slide presentation that will be in the children's that will have that those paintings rotate through in that space. So we're looking forward to having that done also. But we're really excited to be moving forward. We are going to, the day of the ribbon cutting and the year, once we open, we are going to kick off a specialty library card that people can get that has some Dillsboro memorabilia in it that we collected. So that'll be kind of a nice nod that people will be able to sign up and get. I do have some by the numbers. So we have, for instance, we have 7,733 users, registered users, and these are for our entire district. In my district, our 7 townships equals 17,000 people. So you can see that we have a good percentage and ratio of people who are card holders. Libraries have been very important to Dearborn County in general. They continue to be. We've enjoyed a lot of support from our community. And I'd like to remind my legislators, especially too, that in Dearborn County and Aurora Public Library District, all 3 of my locations have been purchased because of community support. So the Aurora Public Library was built in 1914 with money donated from Georgiana Sutton and the Sutton family, in addition to funds from the city of Aurora. We did not receive a Carnegie Foundation award. So we, unlike Lawrenceburg and Rising Sun and Osgood, we built, Aurora citizens built that. This library in Dillsboro, if you recall, was not belong to the library at first. It was a community partnership. They got a block grant. Everyone rallied around to get that grant and raised funds for it. And then there was an agreement, a memorandum of understanding that the library then absorbed it, the Aurora did. So, and then our depot, we own the trade depot, which is getting a caboose soon, back to it. But it also, the city of Aurora raised the funds to create that when the one at that location burnt down. So in some cases, B&O, for instance, paid to have it, but our community has always found ways to support those spaces. So that's a nod to us. So please be sure to look for when we have our opening, and I hope you all can join. I'll be sending out mailers also for people. So when we have the date, we're still waiting some construction things before we find it. So, but anyway, thanks so much for your support, and please contact me if I can do anything.
Thank you, Leslie.
There's gonna be some things coming up in Derek's report that probably best handled there. But the one thing I wanted to mention to you is, and I advised Derek of this, so on March 26th, the DAU filed a motion to file third-party complaints against certain individuals, and 2 of them were Jim Thatcher and Doug Baker. So the claim against Doug is a defamation claim. In the claim, they say that he defamed them in that he was claiming that they weren't making the runs they were supposed to, and they were misusing funds. The answers to that, the potential objections that need to be filed to that by the county and the Attorney General's office are due tomorrow. The court has set the matter for hearing on May 15 at 2 p.m. in Ohio County. I only raise it because Doug was town council president at the time these allegedly defamatory statements were made, but they were made on his Facebook account, not an official town account. And so far as I can tell right now, they weren't made necessarily in his official capacity, but merely as a citizen. But because he was the town council president and this is going on, I thought I should at least bring it to your attention. The claim to me appears to have no merit. But, had he made those, or if there's some, he had made those statements in his official capacity, it would have been something that could be attributed to the town of Dillsboro. It might be something that we want to put our insurance carrier on notice about. Again, it doesn't appear to be a claim that has any merit to it, in my opinion. I'm told that the AG's office and the county will file objections tomorrow, and we plan to vigorously contest whether it's going to be filed or not. There are no other hearings set in the matter. I don't know what we intend to do to get this to trial.
Yeah. So Lord.
Yeah. So just thought you should know that.
Got a couple things to report before we get into the agenda. So for the month of March, the town purchased 3.9 million gallons of water, averaged 128,000 gallons per day. This is down 20,000 from the month of February when we had a lot of leaks. But it's slightly up from our last water loss that we did in 2023 when we averaged 122 per day over the course of that year. Our biggest consumption was March 2nd of 161,000, and our lowest was 91,500. So pretty normal month for the water utility. The wastewater side, the plant received 7.3 million gallons of waste. So that's nearly twice as much water as was purchased. And the flow peaked at 653,000 gallons on March 5th. So just to kind of, we still do have that infiltration issues. So that followed, 2.5 inches of rain from 3 days that course. So. And then our lowest day was at 102,000 on March 1st, which followed a relatively dry period. And at 236,000 gallons per day averaged for the month, the plant operated at 53% flow capacity. So that's kind of where that was at. And then just a note, we have made 3 notable repairs to our sanitary sewer system. These were identified in our last televising project we did in the fall of 2024. So we've now corrected all of those issues that we've identified at that time. One was on Rose Street, and I'll share some of these photos. So the pipe was cracked and kind of, obviously if it fails, we risk backing up the main, which then backs up people's homes. So that's obviously what we're trying to avoid, and that's the need for it. Once we dug it out, there was actually a hollow spot under the pipe that probably caused it, wasn't properly supported. It could have been from when it was installed, or we're not quite sure. So there was one on Rose Street. There was a hole in the main on Wood Street. And there was actually a road patch right above this section. So, this was clearly, causing our road to fail. And so that's kind of where that was dug up, patched. So hopefully we won't have issues there once that's put back together. And then on Washington Street, there's another kind of cracked main that we just don't want it collapsing, causing backups. Again, that was patched. As part of our permit requirements for IDEM with the sewer plant, we have ultraviolet light. So after everything goes through the treatment process, the last thing it does is get hit with some UV lights before it's kind of discharged out into the open ditch. So those go on operation in April. So just let you all aware of that. The park restrooms have all been opened up. We did repair the basketball hoop at the park. We got a complaint on it, and we did see it was kind of hanging, the bolts were bent. So we got that taken care of. The Dearborn County Regional Sewer District, they have completely connected their main that's going out to Lake Deer to our sewer plant. So everything's kind of done at the plant, but they still got working on kind of their system out towards Lake Deer. They still got to do some testing, so we don't have flow yet, but we probably potentially as early as, you know, a month from now, we might start seeing some of that. I'll talk about that a little bit later on today. We did do a spring leak pickup. We always try to do one in the spring, get the leak machine out. One last time, bring them kind of doing spring cleaning. So I think that all went well. Haven't had any concerns. Grass mowing's in full swing. The redevelopment commission is meeting this Wednesday. I think the main focus is going to be the Linover Street property. We went through the process now where, you know, I've encouraged anyone that has shown any interest to give us a written proposal so they can consider that, they can counter negotiate that. So that'll be happening this Wednesday. Hopefully we can, you know, have something taken care of there. And then one of our big code enforcement case, 12624 North Street. The son of the property owner had reached out to me and claimed to have taken possession of it. And I did notice they have started to clean some stuff up, so I've kind of offered to kind of help them assist with where we can. But I'm hoping that kind of stay making some positive improvements. Another thing that is kind of high priority on our to-do list that Reed and I talked about is we have some unpaid sewer balances. And these are customers who are not Dillsboro water customers. So they're not ones that we can easily just shut the meter off and say, you don't have water till you pay. They're Hoosier Hill customers, and Hoosier Hills, I don't think they're going to agree. I've reached out, supposed to be talking with their attorney with what I got. I don't think they're going to just turn the water off for them because they're paying the water bill. So we got some big outstanding balances there. I'm hoping we're gonna send people notices that, hey, if you don't have these paid within 30 days, we're gonna be working on filing some liens and trying to get some of those monies back. And then lastly, the park board is meeting tomorrow. And as Tom mentioned, we're gonna talk about color schemes in the big ball court. And we do have a kind of a change order request that I'll be bringing up here shortly. Any questions on operations before we jump into the regular agenda? Oh, and I will, so we are televising sewers now too, if you haven't heard. I know of at least a couple of people that we've kind of had a little bit of backflow from the toilets. I don't think anything's been serious, but you know, I just tell people make sure they run water through so that vents, so their traps aren't dry, or we'll get sewer gas back in. But everyone's been very understanding. I'm very appreciate that. You know, we haven't had too much complaints, and everyone's working with us so we can identify these issues and prevent issues. And I do have maps of the areas if anyone's interested. I'll just flip through them to kind of just these pink areas. These have all, I believe, been jetted. They've been mostly cambered. I think there is a couple of sections here that haven't been cambered yet. The contractor was supposed to come back Wednesday and Thursday of this week, kind of wrap up. This is an area yet to do. This is by Front and North Street. We've got a sewer main one up the alley and then crosses Bank Street. And also kind of along Bank Street, we're going to try to get this section along Front. This area has been completed. This is Adam Street, Sycamore Street, and down Sunset to our lift station. And then there's an area here we got concerns about some tree roots potential. I think there's only one connection on this line, so this will be one that will happen later this week. Okay. There's no questions on that. We'll jump into old business. We've been talking about the solid waste contract for quite some time, so I think we're all set. I'm going to issue it tomorrow. We should have proposals at our May meeting. I'll send you guys a copy of that kind of complete RFP, but my plan is to get it sent out tomorrow. They'll probably be Best Way and Rumpke. I don't know anyone else that might even consider giving us a proposal. If I find someone, I'll share it. There's no questions on that. Dillsboro Arts has requested a letter of support. Yes, there's a couple items they were requesting that we, so this is regarding their grant. They'd like the town to reiterate their support for Dillsboro Arts and their project, their kind of rehabilitation on the second floor. They're looking for some sort of promises of long-term support from the town, including grant, utilities, maintenance, and ongoing encouragement to continue the programming that has already been present in the community, along with specific support for this program. And, you know, particular this program is, you know, the repairs upstairs, reinstalling cabinetry, plumbing work, and such. So, Tom, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
We are pursuing funding to do anything that needs to be done in construction. We're gonna get volunteer help to clean it out. 3 of the rooms upstairs can be used now. So it's, the program that we want to start is to give a space to young emerging artists right out of school and give them a chance to have space to work. And so 3 of the rooms upstairs are usable right now for that. We just need to get volunteers in there a couple Saturdays and haul out some trash. And there's a huge amount of PVC pipe up there that's been used for venting, I think, for furnaces earlier. And then when that's done, like I said, we have a couple other funding sources out that we're waiting on. So, but that program will start probably next fall, and so we have some time to do that. Right now, all we need is that the reiteration that we have the backing of the town council to continue to do what we're doing for the citizens of Dillsboro.
And that grant application is due Wednesday, I think, April 15th.
So that, we need that letter
So
soon.
So you just want a letter of support that will, what, I mean, are you
Continue
wanting
to do what you're doing, yeah.
what we're doing right now?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right. I have no problem with that. I would make a motion that we do a letter for support for the Dillsboro Arts.
Are you know that? On Charlie 7. That you made motion, Charlie 2nd, to send a letter of support for the arts. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
all right,
Thank you.
we'll vote you probably tomorrow, Tim, once we get that letter drafted.
I should be here, young. Got a lot of work at the house.
We'll come there if we need to. You're close. All right, so next I want to talk about some budget items, some things that, I guess I'll call it opportunities that I'd like to talk with you all if we want to consider using savings to do some of these things, or if we just want to hold and wait on some of them. So I'm going to talk about some of these together. So, because it's, like I said, it's all riverboat funds. So it's kind of hard to talk about one and not the rest. So the North Street streetscaping project is one. The Bank Street project is, that's really not, that one should be fine. The US 50, that sanitary sewer annexation we talked about with Conrad, and then the pickleball courts. So for the North Street streetscaping project, we have that large contract with Clark Beach Engineering. That's a $300,000 contract. That's our federal highway dollars, $1.5 million towards construction of that project. Does not include the engineering. So we've been paying the engineering. I budgeted $50,000 in our riverboat fund this year to kind of keep our engineering going, keep everything on pace. But we've actually kind of been pushing them to get this done sooner, see if we can get it ready for construction sooner, and then ask the state for if they can push us up on the construction schedule. So the problem we've run into is now our engineering contracts front loaded. So we've been spending a lot more of that. You know, it's not so much gonna be using some in 26, some in 27, and some in 28. We're using a lot of it right now in 26. So I'm kind of, right now, I'm at that budget amount for that project on engineering.
And what is that budget amount?
That was $50,000. So that's what we spent. And I think part of what got me is an invoice might not, a big invoice didn't get paid at the end of last year and got pushed over into this calendar year. What I'd like to do, I mean, we kind of agreed to this contract, they're not asking for more, you know. Are we comfortable putting more funds from riverboat funding for this engineering project with understanding that we're just paying it sooner? And, you know, we're not really spacing it out over, you know, 3 budget cycles. So that's one. And I mean, realistically, I think we probably should be like $100,000 just to get us through this year. And then the other one, let's see, so Western Row, that's good. So yeah, and then like I said, with Conrad's property, if we want to do something with that, you know, I think it's a good opportunity, but we don't have anything in the budget right now for it, so I'd be for that. And then lastly, the pickleball courts. So we originally was just going to do 3 pickleball courts. What I've been working with the contractor on is striping a tennis court in the middle so that we would have a removable post. So it would kind of go perpendicular to the pickleball court. So it would be 3 pickleball courts, 1 tennis court, all the same. The only issue with doing that is the tennis courts need an 8-foot tall fence. The pickleball courts only needed a 4-foot tall fence. And it was they've got a $12,000 add-on to that contract to make that change. I've since, we will be able to get that lower because we don't need 8 foot all the way around it. We just need 8 feet on the short ends. We're looking at making some tweaks to our stormwater system because they had like a roadway grade structure on our storm system that we can get by with, you know, more like something that's more like park-like setting. So I do think it's, you know, it's probably realistically we could get it for, you know, $6,000, $8,000 add-on from where we were at. And that would allow us to put a tennis court in the middle of it.
Someone asked for a tennis court.
I've got so many complaints because we're not putting basketball. courts
That's
out
what I
there.
was just
I mean,
getting
you don't
ready to
know how many
Yeah.
complaints I've heard about that. People are not happy.
Yeah. I mean,
So how much was that for the basketball?
There's
there's
another,
another 100,000.
that's why I was thinking 100,000.
Yeah.
We discussed, at the last park board, we discussed doing some kind of fundraising to get that to happen sooner so that we didn't have to rely on another grant cycle. I don't know, possibly just a GoFundMe or a patronicity or something like that, where we could, if we could get matching funds, but yeah, that's a concern. We heard those too.
Yeah.
And that is a concern.
Full of pickleball tournament.
Well,
There you go.
That'll
Good
probably
job.
work.
So I'd like to talk about those kind of 3 items together because all 3 of them I think would require using riverboat funds. I think I did send an email on that. Like Rita mentioned, I mean, we just purchased $1 million CD. So that's kind of sitting there for 6 months right now, untouched. I think we're at $675,000 in that fund right now. You know, everything indicates we should receive, just like we did last year, around $475,000 in revenue. So, you know, I think we could easily do some of these things and not touch that CD.
Is there any timeline? Can we kind of have an executive meeting and discuss them? We'll go more in depth first before we.
So
Where is that?
how much are you talking? So I know you 100,000 for the
Engineering,
engineering,
yeah.
and then
6 or 8,000.
you said might as well just
I think-
figure 8 on the higher end.
Yeah, I think we
you
should
know
at
what
least do 8.
Yeah, and then what was the other thing?
So that's with Conrad's request for sewer. I do think it's a good opportunity, but it's some risk.
I thought you had something here about Bank Street too. didn't you?
So we have in our budget for roadway engineering, and I had already budgeted that project. I'll go ahead and talk about that too. NDOT reached out to me a couple weeks ago. If you recall, they didn't fund our project we were wanting to do on Bank Street. Well, I guess they kind of flip-flopped. They said they got some money. They said, you know, they didn't put it in writing, which I don't particularly like, but they said if we get everything to bid, we get it ready within this fiscal year, which that would be in June is their fiscal year. If we have the money requested, they should be able to fund it. So I've got a proposal from Clark Dietz to basically finish that project out, get our plans and specs out, and get that done. I'll talk about that shortly, but like I said, we got money in the budget for roadway engineering, we got money in the budget for that project, so I don't think that's, I kind of look at that separately. These other 3, there's nothing in the budget.
I don't have anybody else feel, I just think 150, 250,000 for that one property, and there's no guarantee you're gonna get a business to come out there. I mean, there's not, I'm not for doing that right now. I'm not either.
That's gonna help us in the long run, if he's willing right now. Because we gotta have a continuous property boundaries in order to annex anything else.
I
And that's
understand
the
that,
stuff
but
like that.
that's a lot of money to put in for one person out there.
I'm thinking that too, and right now we're trying to build up the town with businesses, and it's like, we're going, I don't know. It's a lot.
It's a tough one.
It is
Yeah.
a tough one.
What do you think, Charlie?
I think at this time it would be silly for us to do that.
I do too. I mean, he said he was looking at years, so maybe we could look at this. Maybe 6 months down the road or something and see
Well,
how.
I do think one option would be if we could formalize an MOU and he was able to market the property, and if he found someone that was gonna make a substantial investment. I mean, that's what the redevelopment does with they set the TIF district. They can borrow money on this new
Yeah.
assessment, you know, if someone's putting $1 million investment there.
Yeah.
You know, the property tax dollar is gonna be substantial, and we could do a 5-year bond. And the redevelopment commission would pay for that bond out of those tax dollars. So I think that's one option we could do it. You know, it's nothing more than formalizing an agreement that, hey, if you're able to find someone that's
Interested, then
willing to make,
come back to
to
us.
build this, then we'll do this round.
That sounds good.
And then I think it's just working with Conrad and marketing it, see how successful, how much interest there is for that property.
Well, we have some support. He's gonna support it.
I think we need to maybe have an executive meeting. It's 3 things, if there's no timeline, we'd have to have it right away. I mean, that's.
No, I don't
We
think,
can discuss it in a little more depth and see.
the pickleball is one that's pressing, because they're ready to, they're gonna be starting here and probably, I think with
Yeah,
May.
that's the lowest one there.
I mean, they might not be doing fencing until June, so I mean, we might be able to kick it till May, but they might be screaming at me.
Well, I mean, we're already committed to the pickleball, so I think we should just go ahead and do the 8,000 for that, because I mean, we've already committed and, you know, we need to do it.
I guess my thought with the tennis courts was if pickleball is just simply a fad that fades away in a couple of years, at least you got a tennis court that people can still play tennis. I don't know, like I said, it's not a huge investment in the grand scheme of it, but we don't have to do it either. We can just keep with the original plan, put 3 pickleball courts and move on.
Confuse anybody with all the different lines or whatever. For pickleball. And that's.
I don't play pickleball or tennis.
So,
I have it growing, I'm speculative.
No, a lot of people play pickleball. I don't hear many people playing tennis. but a
No,
lot
I
of
don't hear
people play
anybody playing
pickleball.
tennis anymore, really.
If I may, I think the thing for the tennis would be that the high school has a tennis team, and so there might be
Oh, maybe.
some kids that would say, wow, but I also am worried about making the transition, how much trouble would it be? you know,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Transition between pickleball courts.
Yeah.
And I have heard from some people that want to get together a league in pickleball, so.
I'm just afraid that we go and we put a tennis court in there, they're gonna be like, well, what's up with, why didn't we do the basketball court?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
You know, so it's just like,
That's not why they just stay.
just leave it as is.
Leave it as is. That's what we gotta have.
That plan's in.
Yeah, so I think that's okay with the park board. I mean, yeah, you're fine with that. Okay. I guess that's, there you
Just
go.
leave it at that?
We'll just leave it the way it is.
All right.
Like this pickleball.
All right, so that's what I.
And we'll set up a meeting sometime to talk to these about these other two a little more in depth there.
Okay,
On those.
so with that said, then, so we're kind of tabling the Stellar North Streetscaping project budget.
Yeah, and that's who
And we'll move on to the Community Crossing Matching Grant 2025-2. That was our application for Bank Street. So we have a supplemental contract proposal, and that was, I think it was 18,000. So this was a not to exceed $17,820. So they got hourly rates that they'll be billing us at based off the engineer. I'm comfortable with it. I mean, they literally had everything into coming down and doing inspections of the project as far as part of their fees. You know, if council's agreeable with this, we can give them notice to proceed tomorrow. We should be able to get the project plan and manual completed relatively quickly. And we'll look at having a bid opening before our May council meeting. If everything comes in under budget, we could probably do like a tentative award pending, funding from NDOT, which they told me as long as we get it done this fiscal year, they'll fund it. Let me talk about it and I'll show you in our share our budget here. So this is in our NVH fund. This is where we have $32,000 matched towards the construction of the project. So this is a 20% match. So that would cover, I think it was like $120,000 was the estimated project. So that's where the construction funding would come from. And then we have $40,000 for roadway engineering. So that's where that 17.8 would come from. And we might have a little bit still with engineering invoices on wrapping up Western Road Guyon, but it should be more than a couple $1,000 there. So, I mean, we are potentially looking at having a $20,000 surplus in that line item by the end of the year. Unless we want to go ahead and reapply for CCMG, this year for 2027 construction. So that, we'd still have a little bit of flexibility to kind of put another application in. So with all that, I would just be looking for approval of this supplemental contract with Clark Beach. Or I'll take any questions, so we'll get that.
Questions there than that. Not, we would have some motion to approve supplemental contract.
I'll make a motion, we approve the supplemental contract for Clark Deeds.
Very good motion, have a second?
I'll second it.
Becky seconded, all in favor?
I did forget one thing. I'm going to back up real quick to the streetscaping project. So they did provide a memo. I emailed this to you all. This was when we were looking at trying to realign Bank and Wood Street a little better. And they've done some kind of turning radiuses of what this option could look. Oh, let me share, I'm sharing my screen. So this was one way they could get that to work, and this is basically a school bus trying to make that turn. So it does have that pretty wide there, and it is looking at purchasing right away from Mr. Stalin if we want to go that route at the US Bank. So they're not recommending we do that, but they did look at it, and there was a memo that was shared. And then I've also spoke with them about restriping Wood Street, Woolman Drive better. We talked about even trying to do that as part of the Bank Street project, as we we're striping Bank Street across the street and kind of restripe this and clean this up a little better. I personally like this option. And I think we could potentially get rid of this stop sign here.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that better than that. I don't want to have that purchase property. Or whatever, so.
Wait a minute, get rid of what stop sign?
the one at
Wood is at Wood Street.
Oh,
So it would just be the stop at
Straight
Woolman.
out, you're gonna have Roman to stop.
okay, gotcha.
I think my only concern would be if people's coming down Wood and turning on Woolman, and they don't think they yield to people coming.
Yeah.
You're talking about the one that's right here where you have to kind of go like this. to
Yeah,
look, Right,
yeah.
okay.
Yes.
I don't recommend getting rid of the stop sign on Wood.
I tell you what, I think be in trouble.
Yeah.
I think they do
We
too,
don't have
actually.
to.
Yeah,
But just like you said, traffic.
Yeah.
Coming on the Woolman and want to continue on that instead of going down Wood, they're just gonna cut right across.
There
Still
is,
like put the stop at Roman too.
Good.
I do think it's a cleaner look, kind of squaring it up though.
Yeah.
yeah, it is.
But with trailers, they wouldn't, be able to make, they would be driving over the just paint, which isn't a big deal. But I mean, it might limit us if we ever want to do anything different, like go curving or something, but.
Oh,
So are we okay to kind of scrap this?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
I think
yeah.
it's our plan.
Yeah.
All right. So, next, we got the pay application. So this is Paul Rowe. This is for their first pay application for the work they did back in November. So again, that contract amounts for $533,238. And then they are requesting their payment of $285,900.17. I've gone through this. They've shared their way tickets with me. This is, I think, the third version, so I'm fine to sign off on it. Just presenting this to you all for approval. Questions? I assume this is probably gonna be 2 pay applications. We'll probably do the second one, get everything wrapped up here in the April and May.
Questions on that, or we'll make the motion to approve the first application for all the.
I'll make a motion to do the first payments to Paul Rowe.
Motion, second. I'll second. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Cool. Next we have 12916 North Street. This is the old shoe shop. I personally think we should get this transferred to redevelopment so we can go down that process, get their appraisal, accept proposals. We don't receive proposals, have to appraise them out, and they can negotiate openly with someone. That's my recommendation there. If you want to do something else, but I don't have any other plans, and we're spending money on it. And now the gutters took some damage over winter, so we probably have to.
Did we just get this appraised not too long ago?
I think we
Because
need to
how
get this on-
long
we need
does
to
an
get this on
appraisal
I
stay?
think
At
we need to
least
get that.
2 years or something?
Yeah, we might be good on the appraisal now.
A few months ago, I think.
Yeah,
I think so, yeah.
I think when we tried to accept proposals on the councils, I think we got for appraisal.
So you just need to make a motion.
Motion to transfer to redevelopment.
I will make a motion to
Are you
transfer.
willing to, do what you did with the thing, like I proposed? Or is that
So,
something you need to go to redevelopment first?
We advertised it for proposal back in, I think, October. We didn't get any. I don't, John, can we still accept proposals at this rate for that property?
So we asked for them, we didn't get any at the time.
Yeah.
I don't recall the statutes, and once we've been through the whole process, I don't recall the statute reverting back in any way.
Yeah. I know redevelopment has some flexibility. I'm not sure with it being needed at the council still.
My recollection now is, it might be worthwhile taking a look at the statute again, but I think we can.
Right.
We went through the whole process and nobody said or done anything since that time.
Right.
It seems to me foolish to have to go through it yet again.
Right.
On the worst come.
So at that time, we were asking for a proposal that included a value equal to the appraised amount. And that could have been, work improvements in lieu of an actual offer price. So, I mean, I suppose if I can share it, would you like to give us a proposal, or unless you guys would rather just transfer it?
Well, the town was originally giving the building to him. If he fixed it up and made it into a coffee shop, I would do the same thing, fix it up and put my office and another office downstairs, if you're willing to do the same thing. And I'll finish fixing it up.
So I think it was 60,000, maybe, is what that appraised
I was
value
thinking
was.
55 or
So
60
you
is
want
what
to
I
Yeah, it's in that whole.
invest $60,000 in the building?
We gave it to the other guy.
No, he was
No.
investing that. I
He
mean,
was
if you're gonna
investing
get
money.
fixed it up, you're gonna invest $60,000
Well, I was going to
easily.
invest
That's what he's
60,000.
saying.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
Yes, I will put at least that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty easy to do.
Yeah. So in the other side, you were gonna have, Stetler?
Mhm.
I talked to him. He
Yeah.
told me, yeah.
Yeah.
If he wants to do a proposal, I'm fine with that.
You want to,
So
so hold off on the redevelopment
Yeah.
until, see if we get a
See if Mike
proposal
gives
in.
us
Yeah.
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 Okay.
I'll send, did I ever send you the copy of that request? I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Moving on then, the one Dearborn, as part of our Stellar Pathways program, they've offered project signage. But I think we're at a much better position to potentially be putting up signage. I might ask that they update some of these graphics, since we aren't doing this segment here. I might see about updating the graphics a little bit, maybe use something else we got for this as well. You guys have thoughts, concerns on putting up a sign somewhere around? Oh, we might have more than one option, yeah. Potentially put this at the green space. Do some marketing, our project. Or we put it out here in town, up front of town hall.
And people stop and look at it at the green space.
That's what I was thinking, green space.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, get them updated.
I think that's a good idea.
No, good with that, Greens?
Yeah.
So do you guys, I can't remember if he was asking us to pick one of these or. I'll work with them. Are you guys generally okay with the design if we can update some of the graphics?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the first two there. Not the other. So,
Yep, so I'll give them some updated graphics and we'll get that in motion. We'll look at putting that at the green space. just an update on the water tank rehab project. We got 3 proposals for engineering on that. They were a little bit higher than I hoped they would be. So HWC submitted 1, Westler Engineering submitted 1. Forget someone. Actually, a contractor, McGuire Tank and Tower, they submitted 1 on just the tank itself. So it was those 3. I'll just kind of quickly just kind of give you an update. I had originally hoped that we would have a contract ready to present to you all, but I kind of told everyone I'd rather talk with you all, see what kind of where we're at, and you know, maybe look at doing something in May. So this is McGuire Iron Inc. So I've asked them to give us proposals, pricing for basically an evaluation report, full blast and recoat, design specs. The valves don't work on Bank Street there, so we can't really isolate the tank very well. We couldn't shut it down easily. So we need to get those valves, I'd like to get those replaced as part of the project. I'd also like to do an alternate feed to the tank because when we shut it down, there's just a 4-inch main coming out of the new tank going to Western Row, and we wouldn't be able to have it shut down very long. I think it would be nice to have a new feed. I pulled the wrong one. So McGuire, they're tank people. They don't do valves. They don't do water mains. But they gave us a price of $419,377. So I'm glad we at least got that. Again, that would be to completely sandblast inside, outside of that tank. They would put the curtain down it, disposal, everything. And then we had 2 engineers. So you just went quickly, just real quickly. So this is what I've asked for the new water main to come from Front Street, go along the property that the fire station has there next to the fire station, and then run it up here and tie it in with our system. Because this is a 4-inch feed, so if we shut everything down for this tank, these valves, then this tank cannot feed this way and feed the entire town. So that's why I'm a little concerned about this using that 4-inch. Well, I think if we put that in there, then we can shut it down and we won't have to worry about it. Assuming there's no catastrophe of some sort. So with that in mind, this is HWC. They had for an evaluation engineer, 16,000 for the specifications on the tank, 22.5 for the specs on the valve, 5,000 for the alternate feed on the main, 7,500. And then likewise with Westler Engineering, let's see if I can do this side by side. All right, let me get 1 sec here. All right. So just for comparison, I mean, I think they're pretty similar. I've talked to them both about that evaluation report. I said, I don't think we really need to spend, that kind of money. I think we generally have an idea of what we want now. So I think we can almost wipe that off at like $5,000 and just go through what inspection reports we have. So they're comparable. So I don't know if you guys have thoughts on this. I'd like to go ahead and get the design going on this project. I thought about reaching out to some colleagues. We work with Mike Holman a lot on water mains. I might see if he'd just give us a price to do the alternate feed. I don't know that we necessarily need engineering on this one. It's not too complicated. I don't need a decision. I'm just kind of keeping you guys updated, making sure you guys are okay with where we're at right now. But I do think we need to try to keep pushing this project.
Did you get anything from F&B?
I didn't know, they didn't. They were supposed to, yeah, because they gave us a price for the full blast and recoat design. I think it was like 18,000. But they didn't do the other thing. They were going to go ahead and give me a price for the valve and the water main. And they haven't done that yet.
But you sent that request out, right?
I did, yeah. And so that's who purchased or bought out Curry Associates, who's done a lot of work with the town on the water system in the past. So, you know, they did the specs on the last tank. I mean, I would think they could give us a better deal. They know our system better and have it all. But that's that. Like I said, I'll have some more to come and just keep that on top of mind. Staffing updates. I thought we had a laborer that we were going to hire. We kind of had some things that check out well with the reference checks. We went to the second one, offered that, and then they kind of went cold. So we've not had any luck finding the full-time labor replacement. What we're looking at doing now is beefing up a little heavier on seasonal help. We've got Jared Caldwell coming back. We talked with Mike McMullen. He's going to come work for us. Parker Owens, he's a high school student. Denny and Dina's son, he's a sophomore, I think. But he's going to be limited. I mean, he can't start until school, so we'll be looking at him in June and July. Mike McMullen's actually looking at working, 4 or 5 days a week. So I think it's really going to fill that kind of need we have for that full-time position. He's got good experience for us. We advertised the pay at 13 1/4 to 14.75. I'd like to pay Mike a little more. He's not asking for it, but the fact that he's kind of willing to do more than just here or there once or twice a week. You guys have a preference if we kind of cap him at that 14.75?
What were you thinking?
I was fine going to 14.75. If he's going to work 40 hours a week from.
Oh, I thought you meant more than that, no?
No. I would say where we advertise the range, but just go on the high end.
Yeah.
And then since Jerry's coming back, I thought we'd give him like 13.50, give him a quarter raise, but I mean, he's looking to come 1 or 2 days a week and just not. He doesn't really want to do much more than sit on a mower. Yeah. And then Parker being a junior, I'd probably like to start him at 13.25.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Is Tom not doing it this year?
Tom's not coming back. I think we wore him out last year. It affected his golf game.
I see, he just likes to golf, yes.
And also, I mean, we're still looking. I mean, if there's another high school kid that shows interest, I might come back at a later date and have one more. But I think that'll work out good for us. That'll get us through the summer. And then at that time, we can look about either advertising for the job or holding off and doing this again if it works well. I think it'll save us on benefits and a lot of other things.
Eric, I would like to have an approval of these rates, so I've got documentation. I mean, of the, how much an hour for these 3.
Yeah, motion to approve rates of 14.75 for Mike McMullen and 13.50 for Jerry Caldwell.
13.25 for Parker Owens.
13.25 for Parker Owens.
Please.
I'll make an approval for hourly wage for Jerry Caldwell at $13.50 an hour, Mike McMullen at $14.75, and Parker Owens at 1325, was it?
Yes.
Jerry made a motion, we have a second.
I'll second that.
Becky seconded, all in favor? Opposed? Nobody?
So just, and then along with that, I mean, we might exceed our budget for seasonal labor, but we're gonna have
We'll
a
get it out of
surplus
benefits.
for our general.
Yeah.
If we paid someone $20 an hour and they chose the family plan, we'd be looking at about $1,600 per week. So we budgeted that for 52 weeks this year, and we're in April, we haven't spent any of that. So you might see that one go over, but we'll have a lot left for. Okay. And we talked about the sewer extension. We talked about the pickleball courts. So if there's no other old business, we can move on to new business.
Business?
So on new business, I just wanted to make a note about the homecoming fair. I didn't know if you guys had plans, but I think our next meeting will fall the week of homecoming. Yeah, we'll meet on the 11th and the parade will be that following Saturday, so just keep that in mind if we want to ride in the parade again, or, you know.
I think it's sure.
Yeah, I think so too. If you guys want to do something else even, I mean.
Becky, my question is, candy?
Oh, I can pick it up or whatever, if you can get it, whatever you
Well,
want to do.
you go to Sam's, you
All
got a
the time.
tax exempt, right?
Mhm.
Why don't I send you a town card to put on that?
They won't take it.
They won't take the town card?
No, not Sam's. No,
No.
they really are. No, I can pay for it. You can reimburse.
They
me
did
if you're
last
okay.
year. They did
They
last year
changed
for me.
It changed their policy.
Yeah, if you're,
within a
like, if the town doesn't have an account, they will not take a
Really?
credit card. No. Mm-mm, they won't do it. I don't mind paying for it.
Well, will you turn a bill in, please?
I'll give you one, yeah. I know, because I never.
You haven't in the
I
past. You haven't in the
I know.
past. But I don't go to Sam's.
Yeah, I'm
So-
there, unfortunately, a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
No, I'll get candy.
Okay, sure.
Sounds great. So then let me know at the next meeting if you guys are planning on riding those. And then last under new business, I have the sanitary sewer rates for the Dearborn County Regional Sewer District connection. John's provided a sewer rate ordinance. So this is strictly for the Dearborn Regional Sewer District, this Dearborn County Regional Sewer District. This is not our customers, but it is technically our sewer rates. So we've got that proposed at $10 and I think 81 cents per 1,000 gallon treatment rate. My conversations with them up to this point is, you know, I'd propose starting them off at the lower end, let them get their feet under them, see how much flow they actually send us, and then in 6-12 months, I think we should do a rate study. And I've kind of prepped them that, hey, don't be surprised if this goes up to $3 per 1,000, and just to kind of help them out. That's my suggestion. I know in our agreement, I think we would do a rate study, but it would just all be under assumptions right now. You know, we're just guessing at how much they're going to send us. We're guessing at how many people is actually going to sign up for this thing. So I'd rather set the rate within that low part of the range that we established a year and a half ago, and then revisit it in 12 months once we've got flow and can see percentages. So if you all are okay with that, we just need to formally schedule a public hearing at our May meeting.
Can we put that on this resolution that there will be another rate study in 6 to 12 months to see how it goes?
Well, we can add it on there, but I think, I just want to tell the council that that's the ordinance that actually approves the rate that we're gonna need really soon. Now, the contract itself says explicitly that, the rates are gonna be changed from time to time. They're gonna be noticed. If you think that I should put that on there, I mean, we can, but DCRSD is under no misunderstanding that, as the rates are addressed, they're gonna be raised. We have
I think, okay, as long as it's in another contract.
we should be okay, but we could add it real quick. I just think we need to pass it tonight if you want to add it.
Don't we have to do the public hearing, John?
Well, I mean, you're right. That's right. You know what? I wrote you a memo that said that. I got ahead of myself. So, yeah, we do. So this is just the introduction. So, yeah, that being the case, it's not a big deal. I just wasn't thinking.
Yeah.
We can add something in there. But now this is actually written to just go into our code of ordinances. The beast just sitting there, they open it, look at it. So I don't know if we.
Could be the whereas
As
statement.
long as it's in the
I tell you what.
contract, as long as it's in the contract and they know already ahead of time.
Yeah, and Derek's right. Those whereas statements won't be actually published in that part of, they'll be part of our record, and those whereas statements on the top, I can put it in there.
Yeah.
We could say, 1081 for now, and, the parties are aware that from time to time, the rates will have to be adjusted. Something like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can do that.
We need a formal motion to schedule a public hearing,
I
John.
think we should put it all out here.
I'd like to do that at our Monday, May 11th council meeting at 6 p.m. Someone would like a motion for that public hearing for the sewer rate ordinance.
I'll make a motion, to have a public hearing for the sewer rate ordinance on Monday, May 11th at 6 p.m.
Thank you, made a motion, and we have a second on that.
I'll second.
Charlie is second, all in favor?
Aye.
That's all I have, unless you guys have questions.
We've got one more new one.
Oh, yeah.
Dillsboro Homecoming Festival, the donation, $5,000.
Yeah, so we've asked them to, we've asked people when they do, a request for support, that they give us a written letter. So we do have it in our budget, a certain amount for like charitable givings. And then for as long as I've known, Dillsboro, the town's always supported the Civic Club. They are asking for $5,000 again this year. We do have a formal request.
I'll make a motion to approve $5,000 to the Civic Club for the Dillsboro Homecoming.
It's gonna be to the Dillsboro Homecoming Festival. That's where the check goes to. They got 2 accounts on an email that said Dillsboro Homecoming Festival.
I'll second that.
Thank you, made a motion, Jerry second, all in favor? Opposed, buddy?
And that's the riverboat. That is the riverboat.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, one thing I got is we need to schedule a executive meeting, so we want to do the 20th or the 27th, which is
What's that on?
It's on both Mondays. They're both Mondays.
So there's no issues discussing that in executive session as far as, we're looking at like 3 different options on some projects for additional appropriations for our riverboat fund. We take the final action, I guess, at a public meeting, but I'd like to discuss.
I'm not sure what reception fits.
That's what I was, I don't know if it does either.
I'm not discussing, not discussing personnel records. We're not discussing, specific negotiation of the sale. We're actually have different people.
Maybe it's just like a working session, and
Yeah, we could do this, but we just do a special.
working session.
Just special meetings.
Yeah, we could do that.
So, which are the 20th or 27th?
What? An our meeting.
Both Mondays?
The 20th,
The 20th then? Can you be here at 6? Say, you can.
Probably, we're winding down, but if not, I'll call him on my way.
20th at 6,
So next Monday.
next Monday, yeah. Correct. Next Monday at 6,
And that's gonna be a special meeting?
special meeting.
We do that, guys.
You guys don't need me at that, will you? If you do, I'll come. Everybody would. If you do, I'll go.
I don't think so. I mean, if you have a question, we can text you or call.
Call me. And if you need me, I'll come, but it
Yeah.
doesn't sound like you do.
Yeah, we just want to go over it a little bit more.
Yep.
Those things.
Financial.
If I got any other business? Anything else? I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
You made a motion to adjourn, have a second?
I'll second it.
Very second, all in favor? Okay, adjourned.
Okay. Okay.
Well, I guess.
Yes.
Let me know. I'll get it.
Feel free to look. I'll try to make a note now.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. It was more than good, good. We had way more than we thought. It was great. I was so worried that no one was gonna show up.
Good job.
So now we have numbers for data for next year to plan better.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm excited. Thank you, Tom. Thank you.
Yes. I know. That's fine.